All right, good evening, everyone. Happy Friday. It is July 8, 2011. Thanks so much for joining us here tonight. Truth Brigade on AmericanFreedomRadio.com. Hope you had a lovely day, because we sure have a fascinating show in store for you tonight. Our special guest, George Kavassilis. He is, actually world-renowned lecturer and speaker. His website is OurJourneyHome.com, and there's a dash in between each of those words, Our-Journey-Home.com, or his personal website, GeorgeKavassilis.org, and I'm going to spell that for you. George Kavassilis, it is KAVASSILAS.org. Just an amazing story. I'm going to let him share that with us tonight. So much to talk about. So if you would like to join us for the text chat tonight, that's over at truthbrigade.com. Any questions or comments, please feel free to give us a call at 402-237-2525. That's 402-AFR-2525. It is so good to have you here tonight, joining us all the way from Australia. How are you tonight, George?
Oh, I'm fantastic. Thank you, Christy. How are you going?
Wonderful. Thank you. It's Friday. Well, actually, it's Saturday for you.
Yeah, Saturday morning, yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for getting up so early to be here with us tonight, because you have some very important messages to share. But first, I would like to hear about your path, George, growing up and... did you know that you were any different than, say, I guess, the rest of societal's so-called norm?
Yeah, I learned quickly, at a young age that I kind of was seeing life through different eyes to everybody else. And even as a very young child, I used to cry alone in my bedroom thinking nobody really knows me, nobody really loves me. And that included my family, because the love I was experiencing on this level of reality was different to the love that I knew inside my heart. So that was quite an experience I was having.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Now, did you know, I guess you started being abducted, around the age of 5?
Yeah, no, it happened before then, but my memories go back as far as the age of 5. But I do have a knowing that it happened throughout my life.
Okay, so what was that like? Did it feel like your journey home? I mean, was it familiar? Was it scary? Was it something you could talk to your parents about?
Yeah, well, the one that I do have the furthest memory back, it was at about 5.5 years old, and it was quite a scary one. I was terrified as a child. It was the Greys for that particular one. And I did try telling my mum. I was standing next to the bed. After finally being able to move, I was freezing cold, and because I was paralysed from the energy that they use, and there were no covers and sheets on the bed, so I ended up standing next to my mum, and I was just frozen with fear. I tried to move forward to wake her up, but they were still... working on my will. They work on your will, so you can't do anything. And finally my mum woke up and saw me standing there, and I told her that I was being taken, but she just said, you just had a bad dream. And when we went back to the room and the sheets were missing, she was a bit curious about all of that. And then we got new sheets and blankets out and put them on the bed, and I finally went to sleep. But the next day was kind of like something that wasn't spoken of, yeah.
So the sheets completely missing, like as if you were physically taken, perhaps wrapped in your sheets?
No, the strange thing is we found them at the other end of the house, all neatly folded. That was the weird thing about that experience, but that was the next day we found them. But right at the other corner of the house, like near the swimming pool, it was just odd. But anyway...
Well, how sweet of them. They had to return them.
Yeah, they even do the laundry for you. No, that was all a bit weird, but I was terrified. And from then on, I just kept having a lot of fearful experiences. But I had also benevolent ones too. It wasn't all doom and gloom. I've had some extraordinarily beautiful experiences throughout my life as well.
Absolutely. So what do you think they were doing in your first abductions that you remember?
Oh, it was really understanding the genetic line, my genetics and my bloodline, and it's the study of the human race. The Greys were sent here to study the human race because they're very highly technologically advanced and they belong to a very large empire. And so it's a big story, but anyway, that particular group of Greys was sent here by this empire to study our genetics and to come up with ways to control us.
Do you think that they are working alone, or you mentioned they're part of a greater empire? Could that perhaps be maybe our military-industrial complex or something even greater than that? Or is it one and the same?
No, it's one and the same, but it's something much, much greater than that. I mean, this thing goes off-world and goes into our galaxy and then goes intergalactic, goes cosmic. So it's a very, very big cabal that's intergalactic. It's a cosmic cabal.
Okay. Do you have you been able to pinpoint it to where it's coming from?
Well, within our galaxy, it comes from, it goes to the moon, and then it goes to Mars, and Saturn's involved, and then it goes out to the Orion Nordics, a particular group of Orion Nordics. There's other Nordics races out there which are really quite benevolent, but this one particular group of Orion Nordics are really quite, well, the only word to use is evil, really. They masquerade as spiritually advanced beings, but they are... It's just a facade that they use. You know, they can present themselves as angels to people as well. So it's a big story behind. It's not something I can explain in 2 minutes. It's a very, very big agenda.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me ask you this though. So you said the Moon, Mars, and Saturn. Now, are these all off-worlders, or is there human life there as well?
Yeah, there's both. There's both what we would call alien life and human
So
life.
kind of like here on Earth.
Well, there's Earth. Okay, how can I explain this? There's humanoid-looking beings. They look similar to Earth humans. But then if you want to say, are there Earth humans living in these places, then Mars, there's about 1 million Earth humans there already. For different reasons. That's because they're preparing for the big changes that are happening on this planet. So that's another agenda that's playing out there. Because there's many things happening on different levels. And Saturn has to do with more of a spiritual arm. It's got more to do with controlling humanity via spiritual teachings. It's a far more sophisticated level of control coming from Saturn than there is from Mars.
Oh, wow. Okay, so you say that they masquerade as spiritually enlightened beings. Would this be in human or humanoid form or in other forms, like such as, we hear people channeling certain people, or would it be all of the above?
I would say all of the above, and, I'd say the overwhelming majority of channelings on this planet are as a result of these beings, yes. Mm-hmm. There are some of the channelings on this planet are just government projects, projects, some of the channelings. The majority of the channelings are ETs that belong to these paradigms of reality that are quite limited, but they themselves... Look, there are ET races here that are honestly doing what they feel is right, but they just don't realise that they don't have all the answers, and they're in a limited paradigm, and they're attempting to do what they know is best, but are actually causing more harm than good. They're creating too much of a positive imbalance in people's lives and doing more harm than good.
Okay. You mentioned military projects and stuff with channeling and such, but what about the whole alien abduction phenomena? what percentage of that, if any, do you feel is also coming from the military projects? I mean, do you believe that all abductions are true abductions from off-worlders, or could there be some human play in there?
Oh, a large portion. It depends which era you want to speak of. If you look at the 90s and into the earlier part, of this century, then the majority of them would have to be government-controlled abductions. Whereas prior to the 90s, if you look at the 50s, 60s, 70s and 80s, it was mostly off-worlders. But then the technology became available to the governments, and there was a plethora of abductions that were done by the shadow governments and their military arms behind the scenes throughout the 90s and the earlier part of this century, up until 2005. There's still a fair few that go on, but it's more of a, they're really factional now, and they're kind of like the shadow government's doing its thing and the off-worlders are doing their thing, and it's strange because in some areas they're actually in conflict with one another, and in other areas they're working in collaboration with one another.
Okay, so in some things they work together, but they're, I guess I would assume it's just a typical power struggle where they both have their hidden agenda. Maybe one thinks they're going to completely engulf or take over the other by whatever partnership they've decided on.
Yeah, and there are some elements within the shadow government that realise what's going on here. They listen to people like us, and they realise not only by listening to people like us, but also through their own personal experiences within that paradigm, that these beings don't have our best interests at heart, even though they're selling their agenda as though they do, and they can see through the lies and the deceit, and are in a very, very difficult situation themselves because they're in this environment and can see through the lies and have to continue to try and function within that situation.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for kind of clearing some of that up. Maybe we can go a little further in depth in the future about that. But I would like to hear about your transformative period, I guess, between 98 and 2003. Can you tell us about that?
Very transformative. Wow. And even beyond 2003, I'd say I've been coming out of the murky waters in the last 3 years for me. So I would say up until 2008 really was when I was really, it was a 10-year period of intense and immense internal struggle with a lot of dark times in my life. It was a dark night of the soul which lasted 10 years. And I totally embrace it. Like, for me, it's the best thing that could have happened to me.
Absolutely.
It's made me who I am today. So it was very challenging at the time. While I was in it, it really hurt a lot. I hurt on every level of my life. Every level of my being was in pain. The lower aspects of my being. So it was a time where I had to really work out what was going on with me. And I came to realise why I had all the experiences I did throughout my life and why I was continuing to have them. And it got to the point where a pattern emerged. It became obvious why I was having these abductions, because there was a time that I was going to come and share these experiences and my wisdom with my human family, and there was a group that was, for want of a better term, hell-bent on stopping me from achieving this.
Oh, okay. Was that, I read something about, I think, the Galactic Federation of Light. Was that the group that was trying to hinder your progress?
Well, part of that. See, this group, the Galactic Federation of Light, belonged to a synthetic light construct. And their version of light is not what people think it is.
Yes.
Just to give an example, there's people creating light bodies using the Merkaba template all over the planet. And the moment you do that, you create a synthetic light body. But for people, because we've been deprived of love for so long, the moment people experience any kind of love, it's like a child in a candy store, you know. They just go for it.
Yeah.
And people got to be...
even if it's not real, even if it's just the word.
Yeah, labels, I mean, come on, you know, labels can be advertised in dazzling lights, and marketing campaigns happen on all sorts of levels of life, not just in the media. They also happen in spiritual realms as well. So it's very, very important that people don't fall victim to these marketing campaigns. And unfortunately, many, many are all over the planet. And they've just got to realise just how big the universe is and how evolved. You know, we're talking about eons and eons and eons of evolution in our universe. And there's beings who are very, very clever. And people got to be not so naive to think that just because someone comes along and gives them all these promises and all these wonders and, you know, they just don't go for it. They fall for the first thing that comes along. I mean, yeah, you've got to be have more wits about you than that.
So just because somebody might say or preach, hi, I'm a master, I'm here to bring you love and light, isn't necessarily so, right?
Yeah, more often than not.
I'm afraid that's kind of been my experience too. No, I'm beating you over the head. This is love, damn it. I am your leader. We're going to be right back, though. It's that time, so stay tuned. George Casavilas here on Truth Brigade. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here tonight. Truth Brigade on AmericanFreedomRadio.com. Our special guest tonight, George Cavasiles of OurJourneyHome.com. That is our-journey-home.com. And I see we have a couple callers on the line, George, but let me ask you this. There was a question in the text chat. How do we tell, how can we decipher the quote-unquote good ones from the quote-unquote bad ones?
Yeah, what I've learned to do over time is the more I go within myself, the more I get in tune with my inner heart, my deeper heart. I'm not talking about just the heart center of the chakra body, because that's a fragmented state of being. That's the 4D body. Once you go deeper than that, you get to your more of the, I'd say, the 5D body and above. And then you go, see, the 5D body has a single energetic center in the middle of the chest. And that's when we're back in oneness and singularity and in harmony with life and the universe. So once you can get into those levels, so just keep going into your heart, keep going within yourself, feeling deep down into yourself. Fall into yourself, so to speak, and feel into yourself. Then that love vibration you have deep inside of you, that's the point of reference. That feeling, that flavor of love. And and you'll notice that the love that you feel deep within yourself has a different feel to this love that these other beings are broadcasting, are emanating, and are selling, basically, to other people.
Yeah. So no matter what the masses say or think or do, whatever, trust your own intuition, trust your gut, your heart, and really feel it if you really want to know or be able to decipher, is this person trying to snow me?
That's right. And like, for example, you know, I'm in tune with my Christ Center, and we've all got one. It's our seed that we got when we first merged and became one with the creator of this universe, when we first came into this universe. And that Christ energy within us has a particular feel. And so when Lord Sananda turned up in my bedroom and showered me with all this love and light, I stood up out of my bed and I said, go away. You know, I know you're not the real Christ. You're an imposter and you have no power over me, so get lost, you know.
Yes, you're not welcome.
I didn't say it in such a nice way. I said it in more assertive manner, but that's basic gist of the way I express myself. And people got to realise, but if someone's in the New Age movement and they're continually praying to Lord Sananda and meditating and bringing his light in and his love, and, then they're no different to a religious person who's giving their power away. They're just doing it in a different way, but it's the same principle, it's the same. And that sort of person would have fallen to their knees, bawling their eyes out, and totally subservient to this being. And people have just got to realise what's happening here. The true Christ is not that kind of being. He does not behave that way. And as our veil lifts and the truth is revealed to us, we will know who this being is. So that being does not have to prove himself to anybody.
Okay, absolutely. It looks like, I don't know, something happened to the caller line maybe. It looks like we dropped both of those callers, so I'm really sorry. I don't know how that happened, so please feel free to give us a call back at 402-237-2525. George, there's another question in the text chat here. He asks, do you still experience anger? And if so, how do you get back to your center? If not, will you share your experience with us that set you free?
Yeah, I would say anger like I used to experience does not exist anymore for me. I can get really assertive. I can exercise my inner warrior and get very assertive. Mm-hmm. But as far as anger, no, the most intense I've felt in the last 3 years probably would have to be when I was doing my talk in Slovenia, believe it or not, just this time around. And I was talking about the true sacrifice of the Christ, and I was being attacked really severely by church energy. And it's about the most intense I've been. I was actually trembling. So that's pretty severe. I haven't experienced anything like that for many, many years. But I wasn't angry. I was just really intense. Mm-hmm. So as far as anger goes, I don't know. I don't think I've been angry for quite some time. So I would say I'm really aware of the moment I start to lose my centre. And if I behave in a way that's inappropriate, I pull myself up really quickly and I discuss it with whoever's involved. I really make an attempt to be real, be honest, and and just really address the issues and be honest about it with the person. Yeah. That's how I go about it. It's keeping it real. By opening
the lines, exactly. Keep it real. Open the lines of communication, and you can prevent a whole array of different kinds of bombs like that, huh?
Yeah, what I'm learning to do is to be assertive without being angry. Yeah. Because the moment you're angry, you're out of control. Mm-hmm. When you're assertive, it's your inner warrior, and you're making a stand. Mm-hmm. And that's the difference. It's not aggression. It's actually, it's standing true. So I guess my energies have morphed and I express myself in a different way now. So some people may think that I'm being aggressive, but I'm actually not. I'm just being really assertive because I'm defending my sovereignty here.
Yeah.
So,
being true
this
to
is what
yourself.
we're doing. Yeah. And when you really, when I speak, I get attacked a lot. Mm-hmm. Sometimes more than others. And let's say I was doing a talk in Barcelona, and the moment I started on that true sacrifice of the Christ, oh my goodness, the energy in the room changed totally. We had 130 people in the room, and there was this rage in the room. The room was full of rage, and I got really assertive. And my translator all of a sudden was coughing, couldn't speak. And we got to the point where we had to stop for a minute or two while she, gathered herself. And basically I said to everybody, can you feel the energy in the room? And everyone was nodding. I said, well, I'm not angry. Are you angry? And everyone in the room was going, we're not angry. And we exposed the energy. People were seeing entities in the room. And it was from the Vatican. And, we're talking about the birthplace of the Inquisition. So when you... because I'm a carrier of the sword, and the sword is the Logos, so when you speak that, vibrational pattern of truth from the blueprint of life, you're ramming the sword in the matrix and it hurts the paradigm of illusion and lies and deceit.
Yeah.
And so, we rammed the sword into them good and proper that day, and they didn't like it one little bit. And so things like that happen. So as I'm speaking, sometimes I'm getting kicked and punched, and I've got to try and hold my composure and continue to speak to the people in the room, whilst at the same time I'm getting kicked and punched energetically on other levels. So it is a challenge at times to keep myself together, but it only makes me stronger every time I experience that. It's really quite good.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this. You mentioned a couple times the true sacrifice of the Christ, and then, of course, church energy. I live in the Bible Belt. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's been fun. Lots of church energy here. But can you explain what the true sacrifice is that you speak of?
Well, it's a big one. That's a big one. First of all, I want to say that real Christianity is vastly, while there are similarities, is also vastly different from churchianity. So I want to make that point clear, because if you are a shaman or you are a Christian, if you are a druid or a pagan or a Buddha or a Krishna or a true person of Islam, then you are all one and the same thing. There's absolutely no difference between those, because we are all understanding life, even though from different cultures the philosophies are identical. So there's no difference between a Christian and a Druid, or a person of Islam and a Christian. And when it comes down to the true philosophies, not what we have today. I mean, what is being fed today to the human race is vastly different from the original teachings. So I don't care what a person thinks about their religion, because I've had good debates with people from Islam as well. And they say, no, our book is the only one that's true, that hasn't been, because it's the same language for the last,
every religion says that.
Christians are just as passionate as they say that their Bible is the true word of God and it's the only one. And I just say to them, I'm really tired of all you people that think that your football team is better than the other football team. Because that's exactly what they're doing.
It is. But God said so, because it's written in this Bible or this book.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. It is. It's like professional wrestling, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, here's another question in the chat. George, have you met the human incarnations of the beings of the solar system, including Mother Earth and Father Sun?
I'm going to have to say yes, but the answer to that is going to be that I cannot say who and what they are, because I'm honouring the process that when each person's veil is lifted, they will know for themselves who they are. Mm-hmm. And I have to do that, okay? That's something I need to honour. Mm-hmm. Okay? So it is being true to my spiritual and soul contract. As much as our egos would like people to know, the truth is that the greater truth, I have to honour the greater process at hand. I have to be unconditionally loving here and say that I need to honour my soul contract.
So do you feel that they're just one incarnated being each, or that we're all little pieces of it?
Both.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Never either or? It's always both and more, huh?
Yeah, exactly. People tend to look for one single answer every time, but there's always more than one answer, because we're in a multidimensional universe, so don't get trapped into one thing all the time.
Absolutely. Multidimensional. I'm glad you said that, because I'd like to talk about your knowledge of the different dimensions, or, some people refer to them as alternate realities and such. Are we all experiencing life in different realities at the same time?
We are. Just depends on if you're aware of it or not.
Okay. So, all right. And how close...
Because, can I just go a bit further with that answer?
Please.
We have our aspect here, but we also have thousands, if not, tens of thousands of aspects of ourselves scattered throughout the cosmos, in all these billions and trillions and quadrillions of galaxies that exist out there. We are those galaxies, by the way, and we are stars, we are planets, we are stars, and we are galaxies. That's what I help people to remember, because that's the way things are. It's the way life is constructed in this universe.
It is.
And so we're all inside one another in all these varying different forms. So, Christy, you have your galaxy, and say I'm a star inside your galaxy. And one of your friends that you know might be a planet revolving in my star system, and we're both inside your galaxy as a planet and a star. And then we may have other people that are incarnated in our system. So, because each galaxy has its own unique expression, its own being. So it has its own vibrational pattern, therefore it provides its own set of experiences for people compared to other galaxies. So souls will gravitate by the law of attraction, will be attracted to have an incarnational experience. Those souls that need that kind of energetic charge in their soul, that learning and that wisdom gained from incarnating and having those experiences inside your galaxy. See, and that's the way it works. So we're incredibly integrated. I mean, the concept of oneness, I mean, most of the time it's just collective hive mind concepts that are being sold to the planetary system, to us at the moment. But
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, very well said, George. Thanks for elaborating on that. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here tonight with George Kavassilas here on Truth Brigade Radio. Once again, his website is OurJourneyHome.com. That is, and don't forget the dashes in between each of these words, OurJourneyHome.com, and also check the calendar for upcoming speaking dates here in the U.S. and Canada. If you are in the U.S., OurJourneyHomeUSA.com is where you can get that. And there's a couple questions on the text chat. I'm going to copy those and put them aside because we do have a caller on the line. And our first caller tonight is area code 510. Welcome to the show. Oh, I think. Caller, are you there?
I'm here, thank you.
How you doing tonight?
Fine, thank you. I'm glad to join.
Welcome. And what's your question tonight?
Oh, I listed them and I have to go find them, so I'm sorry. You can pass me over. Go ahead and pass me over, I'm sorry.
Okay, well, we don't have another caller on the line, so I'll just ask one of the ones on the chat. Would that give you enough time?
No, actually, I did have questions about Earth changes on the West Coast. So I was concerned about what George's ideas are about preparing for them, and the likelihood that in the next, say, 3 or 4 months, we'll be experiencing some of Mother Earth's birthing pains, I guess we can call them. And what should we do to protect or prepare ourselves for that?
Yeah. Hi, how you going?
Hi, fine, thank you. This is
all right, that's a really good question. I don't have that much detail about sort of the, I would say the minor details of things that will occur. But what I will say is that when it comes to our environment around us, whether you live in a city or you live in a waterfront home or whatever, it doesn't matter where you are, because it's not like one rule fits all. I would say the most important thing is to follow your intuitive guidance. If you get the feeling to get in your car and go to higher ground, do it. If you get the feeling to stock up on a few food items, do it. If you get the feeling to arm yourself, then that's your prerogative, then you should do it. That's whatever you feel you need to do. I'm not here to judge anybody. I don't feel the need to arm myself. I live already 500 metres above sea level, quite inland. So for me, it was intuitive. I followed my intuitive guidance. For me to live on the waterfront at this stage of the proceedings, I think is, I felt is not appropriate for me. So I'd be quite nervous living on the waterfront at this stage. Mother Earth will just continue to change, and she'll change more and more, and eventually she's going to change in a big way. It can't be stopped. It's part of her journey, and we just need to realise that what our little egos want and what we want as individuals is not more important than the evolution of Mother Earth and her humanity. So I would say just listen, really begin to become more aware and listen to our environment around us and listen to what our deep intuitive heart and feelings and guidance is telling us. And maybe people need to live on the waterfront until the very last days. So, and then they'll get guided to move. So depending on where people need to be on Mother Earth's body, because wherever we are, where the interchange that we have is so intense with the energies that we bring in and the energies that we send out from this reality. And it's like acupuncture on Mother Earth's body, you know. Where we all are creates a harmonic symphony globally. And as long as we continue to feel into that, then we won't be out of place and we'll feel that we are exactly where we need to be. So that they're the sort of, that's the approach that I have to understanding where I need to be at any given time.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, I understand we shouldn't be in fear because that would just make things worse. But would there...
Oh, definitely.
Is it possible that there may be, like, portals that are around our country or in nature that might feel more harmonically safe for our journey to...
eventually it'll get to the point where we do open up an opening into the fifth dimension, because that's my understanding of how the process will be. And we do that. The more we merge with our higher self, the more closer we get to opening the porthole. And eventually the veil will get so thin between our level of ourselves here in this reality and the higher self that the two will actually merge. And that's in that moment is when the porthole opens up and we walk through. So it'll happen to anyone, anywhere, anytime. There's no specific sacred sites that people need to go to or anything like that. No, it doesn't work that way. This level of consciousness will be accessible anywhere on the planet to anybody.
I agree.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thanks so much. Was that your whole list of questions there?
Well, that's the only... I'm kind of caught off guard, but perhaps in a little bit later, maybe I could ask a couple other questions.
Well, sure. Feel free to call back then.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Okay, that's great. Here's another question on the text chat. It says, it reads, you've talked about how you have removed entities from your system. Do you have some pointers on how to do this in practice?
Yeah. Okay. The way it works for me is to bring my inner light out, and what I ask is for the appropriate energies and colours that's required. And there are some entities that I can remove and some I can't at this stage because they're serving me. So it's understanding this from a much higher level, okay? Mm-hmm. People think, there's something negative, get rid of it. And they just don't. That's really, it's a blind, judgmental approach. That anything negative, anything dark, you just got to get rid of it. That's a self-righteous, positive attitude. Mm-hmm. People need to understand just how these entities actually serve us. So without the challenge they provide, you don't learn. It's as simple as that. I mean,
absolutely.
What is the darkness doing? Darkness is teaching us, 10 million, quadrillion, whatever ways you want to, how many numbers you can think of, how many ways not to go about it. That's really You know, at the end of it all, they're showing us how not to go about it in every way possible.
Yes. It's true, though, and it is kind of it is a blessing. I mean, maybe when you're there, it might feel a little yucky and sticky and hard and scary, but really, we wouldn't be who we are to become without those experiences.
Well, it's understanding this intense duality and the purpose it serves. I mean, it's just understanding the reality and understanding the construct and why it exists and how and why we've chosen to come into it. It was to learn. So without the challenges, you don't learn. If you wrap yourself up in cotton wool and this fluffy white sort of energy all the time and you have no challenges, you never learn anything. You're just a sport little brat, basically.
Absolutely. I always say when you quit learning, you quit living.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many people, they incarnate and then they spend their whole life just trying to detach and do nothing. And remove themselves from this reality. You know, they spend their whole time just trying to get out. Mm-hmm. And I find that really sad because they're only going to find themselves back in here.
Yeah. And it'll just hurt worse, right?
Yeah, well, that was the case. Now it's changing, but they'll find themselves on another planet in a similar reality. So, learning the lessons that they ran away from in this lifetime. So, you got to face your challenges and work through them, and have the courage to do that. And once you do that, then you don't have to go through them again. You've created that energetic charge in your soul. You've gained that wisdom through those experiences, and you've learned, and it's done. The more you live in denial of it, the more you put it off, the more you delay it, and it's inevitable that it's going to have to happen again at some stage. So if you're not going to do it this time around, you'll end up doing it another time around somewhere else. So I say to people, stop living in fear of darkness, because it's fear of fear itself that is the real disease, and embrace it and work with it, move through it, be grateful for it, and release yourself from it.
Absolutely. I agree. You know, there's a comment in the chat in regards to what you were saying that says, even the darkness serves the divine.
It does. Of course it does. Yeah, every time I come up against a negative entity now, it's kind of like, thank you. I mean, you know, even
thanks for making me stronger and wiser.
Of course, absolutely. You know, thank you to the demigod for creating religions. Thank you for serving humanity the way you have. I think it's brilliant.
Well, that is certainly a wonderful perspective to have. I know it takes a little bit to get there, but it is certainly worth it, and it's nice to see you enjoying your lessons on your path. So you are here to help the rest of us along our way, but it is that time again. We're going to be right back, so stay tuned. George Kavassilas here on Truth Brigade Radio. All right, welcome back. Top of the second hour here tonight with George Kavassilas here on Truth Brigade Radio. And if you would like to join us for the text chat tonight, that's over at truthbrigade.com. Any questions or comments, please feel free to give us a call at 402-237-2525. That's 402-AFR-2525. And we have another caller on the line, George, but if you would, I know you didn't quite finish up talking about entities and removal of, so please continue.
Yeah, I just wanted to finish off answering that question with a bit more detail. What I do is I ask for the appropriate colours and energies to come out of my own heart centre. So I don't bring in energies from other beings. So I used to do that, and I got to the point where I no longer wanted to give my power away. And the beings of the true light urge you to do it yourself anyway, so you can become sovereign and stand in your own power. So the more we do it from our own light and we do it ourselves, the more powerful we become. It's that simple, really, and the less of a follower we become. And so the colours, and I say, you know, I identify, I feel into my body, into my auric field, and I feel what entities are there, and ones I cannot sense, and I bring out the energies that are appropriate for removing the ones that have soul contracts and are no longer required. And the only ones that are allowed to remain are the ones that are designated by my greater self, that is in line with the unfoldment of life and creation. And they're the only ones that are allowed to remain, but everything else must leave. And it works. It works really good.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and you're so right. I mean, we need teachers, and I mean, we're all students and teachers of each other, and we need people to help us along the way, but isn't the true master ourselves? Isn't it within?
Absolutely, and we, everyone's waiting for the angels and ascended masters to come, and they reckon that they're speaking with them and through channelings and all that, and the truth is, the real spiritual hierarchy of this universe is actually incarnate on this planet anyway, so it's all about responsibility. So people will find that out for themselves very soon if they don't already know.
Absolutely. I agree. All right, George. We have another caller on the line. This is area code 850. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
Hi there.
You there?
How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing fine. How are you doing tonight?
Great. Thank you.
Your questions are excellent so far. Thank you very much for that.
Oh, thank you.
I do have a question for George. I've listened to a good bit of his offerings on the Internet, obviously. And one thing I'm kind of curious about is he'll get to the point tonight, I'm sure, at some point, about the actual transition stage. And I know a lot of people are going hither and yon, this way, that way, and the other way, but a lot of people are also going to this fifth dimension, this new earth, this new way of being. And I'd be curious to know what George has to offer as to what it really is like at the fifth and the sixth level. Is that clear enough, I think? I hope.
Yeah, good questions. Hi, and thanks for asking these really good questions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to say that when we return to the fifth dimension, that's not final destination. That's a very short, temporary return to that level of life.
I quite agree.
The reason is that is the platform that we actually ascend from. So
I agree.
We return back because to actually ascend, we need to be in complete state of centeredness, integratedness, and oneness and harmony. And we can't do that from this level. So we return to that level. And preparations are in place. And when Earth, we'll be in the fifth dimension while Mother Earth straightens up on her axis in a really big way. She's nudging at the moment, but Mother Earth needs to find center as well because she's ascending too. It's a symbiotic relationship. So we're going back to the fifth dimension where we're going to be safe while Mother Earth cleanses her lower ego like we have. She needs to do the same thing, and that's her Lady Gaia personality, which is the crust and the natural environment we currently have. And that needs to finish because that expression, that way of life, is her lower ego. And people don't take into consideration that the natural environment we have is actually, while she's very beautiful on one level, when you actually look beneath that beauty, everything kills everything, everything eats everything in order to survive. And so it's a contradiction to have a group of so-called ascended enlightened beings walking on an earthly body that's full of death and destruction. I mean, it's just not a harmonic match, a frequency match. So people need to go beyond just thinking of the human race solely and understand that this ascension process encapsulates all life. It includes the aquatic races in the oceans, which I've had meetings with, and includes all the elemental kingdoms on every level. And every single one of them, and all the spiritual hierarchies in each of these kingdoms are prepared. They've all been working out who's going to ascend and who's not going to ascend. And anybody who's not going to ascend needs to find their way off-world one way or another. And so we go through this fifth dimension, and that's where we'll be safe, and we'll be reconnecting with a lot of loved ones who have passed over, who have gone to that domain, because, when people die, they go to many different locations. It's not just one.
Yes.
And then we'll be preparing for the actual ascension. And all the beings who are in the fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth dimensions and above who are not going to ascend then have to leave the earth domain. And the beings that are going to ascend, which will be us and whoever remains on the earthly domain, what happens on the fifth dimension, the moment Mother Earth hits center, which is on the equinox of 2013, the March equinox, that's when the cycle actually ends. This is my understanding, okay? That's when she activates her light body, and simultaneously when she does that, she basically implodes all her dimensional realities, and each of us implode all of our dimensional realities. So, like for this process where we return to the fifth dimension, our lower ego here gets absorbed by the higher self. We merge and integrate with our greater being. So it absorbs our higher self. In that moment of the light bodies being activated, all of our fifth dimensional aspects, sixth dimensional, seventh, eighth, ninth dimensional aspects, and beyond, everything just implodes all at the same time, while Mother Earth does it, and we all do it together at exactly the same time. And then what happens is everything implodes into an infinitesimal 0 point, and then it explodes again. It bursts. A new way of life is birthed, and it's basically universal consciousness. So you're going to have a planetary body that's going to radiate and emit and express universal light and consciousness, and all the beings that are on that planetary body, which will be us in our ascended state, will be of pure light energy. There'll be no energetic centers, and we will just be pure beings of universal consciousness of light in one single embodiment. And that's not only it. I mean, a part of our consciousness, because we will have graduated and earn the right to be fully blown universal beings, a part of our consciousness will then go and start creating our universe via the construct of light, because we would have become universal light creators. And the embodiment that is on Mother Earth, which, we'll know her as a different being. She'll be a body of light by then. We then go and we have responsibilities and obligations to life within this universe still. So we'll have aspect of ourselves creating our own universe of light, and we'll have an aspect of ourselves which will then travel throughout the universe. And because we are the way showers, and we can go to all the other races in other places and say, we've shown the way, this is the way to becoming a universal creator of light.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that, and I do understand what you're saying. Have a good day, George.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Right.
mate.
All right. Thanks so much for calling in.
You're quite welcome. Thank you.
Okay. Good night. Let me see. Area code 510 is here again, so we'll check if she had the rest of her list. Are you there, 510? Uh-oh. Area code 510, you are live. Oh, okay. All right. Going, gone. Okay, we can try it again. If need be, there was, let's see, here was another question in the chat, George. Hello, George. Is Venus and Mars representations of the masculine and feminine energies of Mother Earth and Father Sun? Because this is what I feel, and since these planets carry the signs of gender on our planet.
They do, but they're a different expression of masculine and feminine. The sun is the divine masculine, or basically the masculine in all its facets, complete, total masculinity. And the earth is all the femininity in all her aspects, all her archetypes, concentrated into one system. The Venus energy has to do with longevity, has to do with vanity, has to do with playfulness, has to do with the more, there's some negative connotations with Venus, has to do with the seductress archetype, has to do with manipulation through seduction. So she's playing many, many roles. And I said the playfulness, and there's a lot of positive attributes to Venus as well, so it's not all dark. Mm-hmm. But at the moment, the way she's being used by the universal consciousness is more of, I would say, would have more of a negative connotation than a positive at this point in time. In times past, she had more of a positive. She wasn't between the Earth and the Sun. She was in a different location. Oh. So the reason why she's been placed between the Earth and the Sun is because she needs to get between the sun, the male and the female. And if you look at the energies that have been used to get between us, it's Mercury plays a very important role. That's been specifically put there over time because that has to do with mental constructs and intellectual concepts. So he's playing a very, very important role. And if you look at the systems that are dividing men and women throughout the ages in recent eras and epochs of time, it is intellectual and mental constructs, and it is energies of desire, and it is energies of lust, and it is energies of, of these types of concepts and archetypes. And if you look at Mars, the role it's playing, it's the warrior energy in our solar system. It is a male energy, but it's the warrior archetype within our solar system, and that energy is the energy that's being used to control humanity, to contain us within our boundaries. And we've had many civilizations throughout eras and epochs of recent times that use soldiers and armies and military systems to, by force, to control people. And that's why Mars is outside the orbit of the Earth and the Sun domain. And then beyond that, you've got Saturn, and then Saturn is using it's the local headquarters of what we call the Great White Brotherhood, which is the positive spectrum of duality, and they use conditional love. Their love is conditional because it's one side of duality. Because, the positive beings see themselves as above the negative, but they're not. They're the direct, equal and opposite counterpart of the dark. And they get very self-righteous about their ways, because I've been there, I've lived those lives, and I understand those states of being. And those ones are the ones that are beyond the military systems, which are controlling humanity as well. So if you look at the way life is structured and you look at the archetypal personalities of these planetary bodies, sure, there's overlapping occurs and there's a lot of positive attributes for each one of those. I'm just trying to explain the more prevalent attributes and archetypes and energetic patterns that have been the way things are structured at this point in time for our societies.
That is very interesting. Okay, you didn't mention Jupiter though.
Yeah, Jupiter's the next one out, and I always say that the control really ends at Saturn, whereas Jupiter is the Amazonian woman. Jupiter for me is feminine, and she's the Amazonian warrior. To me, it's a feminine warrior energy, and she's keeping things in check from behind the scenes.
Okay.
And that's as far as I've gotten. There's other planetary systems out there, but I'm not I'm not an astrologer. I'm just sharing as far as I can share at this point in time. But as I understand more, then I'll share more. But that's as far as I've gotten.
And you said that Mercury and Venus and the planets used to not be where they are now. What changed?
Well, the consciousness of the solar system changed. And the vibrational patterns of the solar system changed. So things move around according to... it's the music of the spheres. So depending on where you position things will depend on the vibrational patterns of the vibrational pattern, first of all, of the solar system, and then the end result of the vibrational patterns of each of the bodies where they are actually placed, because they all communicate with one another energetically. And so if you place a specific object in a particular orbit in the solar system, it creates a pattern and affects everything in the solar system. It's like you have an orchestra, When you have an instrument playing a different note, then it affects the whole symphony. So that's the way it works.
Okay. Now, do you think this is natural or a man-made construct, the solar system or even perhaps the moon?
Oh, no. This thing about illusion, that it's all construct of our minds, is a load of crap, really. I'm going to be quite assertive about that. I've got to be assertive about it. There's some mind-bending philosophies here that are just poison to the soul. Okay. And the one that this is all just an illusion, this is all just a holographic illusion, and it's just a dream and it's not really real, is one of the biggest cop-outs ever, because what's going on here in this solar system is the most important thing in the universe. And so there's all these mind-bending philosophies that are totally designed to devalue one's experience here and to devalue the sacrifice that the sun has made, all the planets have made, and especially that Mother Earth has made. So the consciousness of the Earth, who and what she is incredible. She's the divine feminine aspect of the creator of the universe, and the sun is the divine masculine of the universe. And what those two beings have done for us is incredible. So, you know, when people say this is all just in your mind, it's all just a dream and it's not really real, then that's just one big cop-out. That's people who who don't have the courage to engage in life.
Okay, very good point there, George. But it is that time. We're going to be right back. Stay tuned. Truth Brigade Radio. Thanks for joining us here tonight. Truth Brigade on AmericanFreedomRadio.com. Our special guest tonight, George Kavassilas. OurJourneyHome.com is the website, and there's a dash in between each of those words, our-journey-home.com. And, you know, I'd like for you to talk a little bit more about the not real, also versus the man-made argument. I've heard that some people will vehemently argue that the moon is man-made. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, not Earth man-made. It is an artificial satellite. It's not a naturally occurring object. I can vouch that firsthand because I've actually been to the moon, and there's many people that go to the moon. And as crazy as that sounds for some people, say, "Oh, this guy's just a lunatic. He's making all this stuff up." That's just people's egos that are really not.
Who haven't been there.
Well, it's not that they have. Okay, they might not have been there, but they just don't understand how much goes on around them. Yes. You know, there's all sorts of things and secret military things going on all around us all the time that we're not aware of. And I just like people to entertain the idea. They don't have to believe me, of course. But it'd be nice if they just wouldn't judge straight off the hat by a reactive emotion, because that's just the matrix program that's activating inside of them. So if they can just stop for a moment and actually feel into what I'm sharing, then they'll understand that there's so much going on around us without us realising. So, you know, like I said, there's 1 million people on Mars already. I've been taken to Mars as well, and I'm answering all these questions because I've had extraordinary experiences throughout my life, and there's a lot of people who are involved in this stuff behind the scenes, and you know, we work very hard behind the scenes, and there's a lot of people that have the awareness of it, and there's some that don't. I mean, you know, overwhelming majority of people who are listening to this program today work very hard behind the scenes, but you know, when you go to bed at night, and then you wake up in the morning and you're more tired than when you first went to bed.
Yes.
You worked really hard behind the scenes.
Yes.
Just
I know that feeling.
Yeah. Your being is not giving you the recall. That's all it is. It's the way you've structured your life. So this isn't about egos and, you know, what makes you so special and all this sort of crap that I've had thrown at me throughout the years. Really, people need just to get over it and understand that we've all got our lives structured in a different way. So we need to keep it real. You know, I'm just keeping it real. I'm not going to fluff things up. So the reality is I have been to the moon. Members of the ruling elite go there. Only selected members of the ruling elite go there on holidays. I did not go there on a holiday. I was taken there, you know, against the will of my lower ego. And I had a very, very important interaction with the Draconian Lord, which is one of the 3 Draconian brothers of the patriarchal Draconian empires. And he's a very powerful lord. And when I got up off that table for the first time, under the power of my own power, because my higher self, I had a lot more of myself present in that moment. I walked around and they were throwing everything they possibly could at me, and the amount of heat that was about an inch off the surface of my body was incredible. And my higher self, my consciousness, was protecting me, and I had a bit of a mission. Once they used all the technology they could, I could then feel around my body the personal energy coming from this Draconian Lord, because he's a very powerful being. But I just walked through walls and everything, because we can do anything when we're in a higher state. And I walked straight up to him, and he was just slumped and totally defeated. And he looked exactly like those Wraith Lords do, you know, with the long flowing blonde hair, those Wraith Lords in Stargate Atlantis. Yeah, it makes you wonder where they get their images from.
Yeah, anyway. I've never seen any of that, but from what I'm hearing, it sounds pretty similar to many personal experiences I've heard about or even perhaps experienced myself.
It's just incredible. And,
yeah.
And anyway, I walked up to him and I said, now do you understand? And he said, yes. And what happened, what occurred in that moment, Christy, was that I was sending him a message from all of humanity saying, we're letting you do this to us, and when we want to get going, you've got nothing over us. You have nothing can stop us. You have no power over us whatsoever. And get past your egos, because we have been letting you manipulate us all this time. And that's the message I sent to him that day from all of us, you know. And when we want to activate ourselves, they've got no power over us whatsoever. So we've got to just remember how powerful we truly are. And when we do activate ourselves, when we do come from that higher part of our beingness, which comes from beyond, outside the arena of this lower version of duality down here in the third and fourth dimensions of the universe, then we're unstoppable, and we're working from a divine place and operating and functioning from a divine place. So
absolutely.
It really is. It was a very, very powerful experience and sent them a very, very powerful message. They are totally frightened of us. I assure you of that.
Okay. Now, let me ask you this. When you travel and you've talked about some of your journeys and being on ships and such, is this physical or is this astral, or once again, is it both?
Well, it's all of the above. I've traveled astrally, I've traveled the ethers, and I've traveled physically. And depending on what experience is going on, it depends on what group of ETs want to abduct me and for what reasons. And it'll depend on, like when I had my experience in 2003, my galactic family came and picked me up. And, you know, that was a soul contract. So they weren't interfering. It was prearranged prior to my incarnation. So it was a pre-organised interaction that we would have at that point in time in my journey, so they could facilitate that experience for me with my just my pure essence going up through the dimensions of the universe and remembering and what life's all about. So, and then there's been other times I've been taken by the Lady of the Sea down to the bottom of the Pacific Ocean, right in the middle of the Rim of Fire. And had a meeting with the aquatic races, with the High Council. Our oceans are full of life. I'm telling you now, they are full of life. But we don't see them because they're in different frequencies. But there's a whole multitude of races in our oceans. And those beings too are, the meeting that I had with them was them saying, you know, we're all ready, and all our energetic patterns are in place, and all the energetic streams pouring in and going out are all in place, and they're ready for the great shift. So, you know, people say to me that this 2012 thing's a load of crap. It makes me a little bit sad on one level, because they're just so naive. They just don't understand the bigger picture of what's going on.
Could that perhaps be why there's so many so-called spills, accidents in the water all around? Could there perhaps be some element of our government, military, or even off-worlders who would benefit by having this suppressed and therefore try to poison them with oil and nuclear toxic waste and such?
Oh, it's understanding what oil is. You know, some people call oil the blood of Mother Earth, and it's not. It's not the blood of Mother Earth, okay? Lava is the blood of the Earth, but oil is not. This planet is the microcosm of the macrocosm, okay? So when people understand that, then you've got to ask, okay, so if this Earth is a fractal of the whole universe, which is what it is, then where on this planet would you have a domain that keeps all the dark energies, all what you would call the abyss, that you would call the prison, that you would call the most the realm of the most awfulest and darkest and most dastardly beings that exist? It would be the oil, crude oil. When you understand the energetic patterns of what crude oil is, and the plan for the Industrial Revolution that we have been on is the most insidious, the most genius, the most clever plan that I have ever, I reckon, almost ever come across. I mean, people don't ask, why are we forced to use this as fuel and we're not using any other technology? Yeah. Why are they continuing to have us use plastics, you know, all your cosmetic industries based on petroleum? Sure, there's a branch of it now that's becoming organic, but most of the cosmetics for how long have been petroleum-based. All the plastics in our world, everything is from crude oil just about, and our society is a synthetic construct, this overlay over the natural order. And, you know, you've got to ask the question, why? Why are we using oil? You know?
Yeah.
And the reason is because that is where these entities are. The moment we started burning that thing is the moment the astral realm on this planet went berserk. It started to become heavily populated. And there's it's genius. While we're driving our cars, we're releasing entities out of their imprisonment. I think it's genius.
Absolutely. Lots of questions there. We're kind of, winding down on time here, and I want to make sure we get to everyone. But let me ask you this in regards to travel. Would you say, what are your thoughts on the necessity of starships, UFOs, major technology? I mean, don't we already have that ability innately within us? Do we need all of this, techno stuff to travel from planet to planet or galaxy to galaxy?
Well, not from the higher perspective of our being. We can go anywhere and do anything in the universe. We don't, technology does not exist in the fifth dimension.
Yes.
Not in my model of the universe, okay? There's ETs that come here claim to be from the fifth dimension, all right? Be careful of labels. That's all I've got to say.
Okay.
Really, I call the realm the fifth dimension. It's just people need labels to help them, but ultimately it comes down to energetic expression. So my fifth dimension is quite different to many other people's fifth dimension, all right? So as far as I'm concerned, the fifth dimension that I speak of is what could be termed as heaven, or what the Islams will call paradise, because there's no technology. Everything lives off light. Nothing consumes anything else. Everything is in oneness and harmony, and people live from the heart and express themselves and go about being who and what they truly are from the heart. It's just an incredible state of being, a beautiful way of life. So technology exists below in the fourth dimension and the third dimension.
Okay. All right. We have another caller on the line. This is another area code, 510. Welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you?
Hi there. Wonderful. Thank you. How are you tonight?
I'm just great. Hello, George. How are you?
Very well, thank you. And you?
I'm just great. I have a question, and I don't know how relevant it is to what you've been discussing, but I am curious to know, and I know I'm not the only one who experienced this. I know many other people have, but I keep getting these repeating numbers, and I've been getting them for like 2.5 to 3 years now, and sometimes they really bombard me all the time, and I don't know, do you know anything about what they are and why people are seeing them?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. And you know what? We experience it too. I've been experiencing it, and my wife Cynthia does, and quite a few people I know are experiencing it. And my understanding is this: the numbers, and like if you look at our clocks and you look at our calendrical system, it's an artificial construct. And so what the numbers are telling us is that we are in the groove in the matrix, that we are flowing through the matrix, and we are in sync and in harmony, and we are exactly where we need to be. So for me, it's kind of, whenever I see those numbers, it's just a little reminder. It's like a little signpost that says you're on the right path.
Okay.
And you're right in sync with where you need to be as you travel through this synthetic construct called the matrix. Because, before when I said this is all an illusion, what is the illusion is the level of awareness we have because it's the paradigm of awareness that's the illusion that's overlaid over the trip, over the natural order of things. So that's what the illusion is.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. I'm so glad
the planet is organic. The planet is a living being, living, breathing being. She's not a holograph. You know what I mean? Sure, from a technical point of view, you can say, all right, from a higher point of view, it's a holograph. But I mean, the third dimension is a holograph relative to the fourth, which is a holograph relative to the fifth, which is a holograph relative to the sixth, which is a holograph relative to the seventh, and so on and so on. So where do you end with that concept, you know? So it's very important to understand that each reality is a projection from the one previous, and each reality is valid. Realities are created for a reason, and they exist, and they are valid. And it's important not to allow beings to make you feel like this reality is just a waste of time and has no value or worth whatsoever, because that's exactly what they're trying to do.
All right. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for your call. Excellent questions. But it is that time again. So stay tuned, everyone. We're going to, last segment coming up here when we return. George Kavassilas here on Truth Brigade Radio. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here tonight. Truth Brigade on AmericanFreedomRadio.com. This is the last segment with our special guest tonight, George Kavassilas here tonight. OurJourneyHome.com. There's a dash in between each of those words. OurJourneyHome.com is the website, and click on the events to stay up to date on where he will be traveling next. I guess you're going to Canada here, I guess the middle or the end of the month, and then you'll be here in the U.S. In August. So check the calendar for that. On the website. A few questions in the text chat. I'm going to try to get to all of them, but we have another caller on the line, so area code 925. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Christy. This is Mahima.
Hi, Mahima. How are you?
On Facebook and Tobias.
Oh, great. Thanks so much for calling in. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. It's great that you have George on. We'd had a few emails about that, and I found out through a friend that he was going to be on tonight, so I wanted to call in.
Yeah. All right.
Hi,
great.
George.
Hello, Mahima. Hi, Mahima. How are you?
I'm hanging in there. I would say a year ago, my energy was really up, and I had a lot of passion, and a lot happened this year. I've never had so much kind of happen in 1 year, and a lot of things, have sort of dropped away that used to be interest, and it's a strange feeling. I don't think I'm the only one this is happening to.
No.
I mean, I had one lady call from Hawaii, and she's like just the life of the party and effervescent, and she said she didn't want me to tell anybody, about that she called, but she said that. I mean, she's not on here, but she just said, I'm wanting to stay home. I think I'm going to go out, then I don't go out. And I just got back from Southern California visiting family and friends down there, and I'm in Northern California. And I want to do something, but there's not a whole lot that interests me. I mean, I get up, I go for a walk, I'm trying to eat healthy and do those things, but I'm just like, what's going on? And I'm like, I've had depression, but I don't know that this is really that. I don't know. And
it's because that you're in the process of removing yourself from the matrix.
I think so. I've never been a joiner, George. I've visited a lot of paths, but I never join. I keep coming back. And even being on Facebook, it's very difficult because all the stuff that gets posted on there is.
I have a Facebook page, but I find it, I don't usually do Facebook, so it's not something for me, I must say.
I know. I did it because I was alone in the mountains for 2 months and nearly snowed in, and it kind of saved my life this last year. But now I just feel like, what's the point here, you know? And the whole thing. But if I'm with people, and I have a friend who's listening tonight, actually she told me about you, and she's going to be seeing you in Chicago in August, and it was like, you know, what's going on? All these changes. And I think it's probably been going on for a couple of years. But I would say now it's like I'm not even being given, I say, the energy to do much. Is that... No,
because there's things are about to happen in the public arena. There's something huge about to happen on this planet. And what's happening is there's going to be another global mind control program about to be implemented, like 9/11. But this thing is going to be really big. 9/11 will be like a little tiny, teeny-weeny baby compared to this one.
Yeah.
And what they want to do is plunge humanity deeper into a trance. And you'll notice that, you know, there are a lot of people waking up, but at the same time, there's people like, you know, you can't even begin to talk to them about this stuff because they're so, you know, it's like they're going deeper into the trance, and they are.
I know, I'm very alone right now, and I have friends, a lot of them kind of have moved away, and so I have some phone friends, but not really anybody close by to even do anything. I mean, so basically I'm like, what do you do with your day when you're in this space? And do you, Chrissy, you've had this feeling, and you probably get this all the time, George, I guess. What do you do with your day, you know?
Enjoy it. Embrace
it. Yeah. I find that a lot of little things I enjoy once again. And I enjoy pottering around my home when I'm at home. That I really enjoy, whether it's a bit of gardening or just fixing things and whatever. I get a lot of pleasure out of that because it's my immediate environment. And other times I just seem to be working. This is my full-time work, so I'm not doing
emails. You're pretty busy.
Organising tours or doing interviews, and it's my life now. So that's how I balance it out, and also balance it out with friends and family.
Yeah, I have a daughter kind of nearby, but they're definitely caught in the whole drama matrix, whatever. I mean, she works for a banking institution, and it's about stuff, and they're having fun, and I'm going, in some way, that looks pretty good to me right now because this is not comfortable. But, can't bring any to them, you know.
Yeah. It can get lonely, but really just, all I can say is just continue to feel your journey, keep feeling into yourself, feel your journey, and that's, for me, I always do that. That's what gets me by. I keep feeling into myself and feeling like when I wake up in the morning, okay, if there's a job to be done around the house, I say, because I might have 10 to do, I feel which one I should do first. So I don't go by the head anymore. I feel my way through life. And you end up flowing more often.
Absolutely.
Right, and it's like
things just fall into place on their own when we kind of remove what we think we're supposed to get out of it.
Yeah. When I went to Southern California on this trip, I booked the flight, and I could not figure a date on when to come back, and I usually know that, and I just couldn't. I mean, wouldn't come to me, so I just said, okay, I'm going down, and I'll know a few days before, I guess, and I'll just book it coming back. I just didn't know.
Well, you know, what's interesting in my travels, too, I ask people, in the audience, I go, put up your hands who have got no plans towards the end of this year and can't feel into next year. And I tell you, 90 to 95% of the audience put their hands up.
Yeah, I just feel that.
It's like it's fluid. There's nothing tangible anymore, and it's up for grabs. And I'm telling you, things are about to change dramatically, and I can't plan anything for the end of this year and into next year. It just every time I do try to plan something, it just falls apart.
Yeah. Absolutely.
What about anxiety, just waves of anxiety coming up or fear, and then, I sit with it. I imagine even my skin moving out to just let it have space. I don't...
Wow. Good stuff.
Absolutely. Mahima, I want to thank you for your call. We're almost out of time here, and another caller just snuck in the line.
Great.
But you have a good weekend, and thanks so much.
Thanks, George. Bye-bye.
All right, great. We have
Thank you.
3 minutes left, and we're going to try to get a quick question in here from the last caller, area code 212. Welcome to the show.
Yes, good evening. It's been a pleasure listening to you, George.
Great,
Hello?
thank you, and welcome.
Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. What's your question?
George alluded to something bigger coming up down the pipe. I've heard through the Internet that one of the agendas that has been espoused is that possibly there would be a fake invasion by one ET alien race, and then the ET alien race that would save us, which of course would also be false, would gain our support and our allegiance, and that they would use that to manipulate us. Can you comment on it?
Hi, and thank you very much for that question. That's a real juicy one. I feel that is very much a plan on the cards, because they've got various plans. Which one they're going to implement is the mystery to me. The other big one that's happening at the moment is back in 2008, and even before that, I spoke about the time of the two moons, and I've mentioned that, and at the moment, I still feel that's quite a very real possibility. So it felt to me at the time as a future experience. I've had future experiences before, and some of them have not come to pass. And the ones that have come to pass have a particular feeling to them. And I'm under the understanding that one about the time of the two moons had that similar feel to the ones that have come to pass. So for me, I'm still waiting on what people would call Nibiru or what have you. I mean, it's just a label. But there is a huge body that's it's snuck in. I've said it's been behind the sun for some time. It's now peeped out from behind the sun. It's heading our way. Comet Elenin is just the smokescreen for this huge object that's coming in behind it. And even if you look at the comet and the dates, there's something really strange going on there. And a person who's done extensive research into this has been Richard Hoagland. And he's looked at even if you just look at the dates of the way this thing moves past the Earth, the alignments, alignments on 9/11, alignments on 11/11, alignments on 22/11.
Okay,
this thing is specifically designed to pass through. Out of all the angles it could have come in through the cosmos, it's coming in on a specific trajectory. Yeah,
absolutely. Gentlemen, I am so sorry. Yeah, almost. I hear the music, so I just want to thank you, 212, for your call. And, George, I'm so sorry we're out of time and didn't get to finish that. But hopefully we will bring you back. If not, it looks like a lot of people are going to see you in Chicago August 20th. So, once again, check the website, ourjourneyhome.com. Thank you for your time, and thank you all for joining us here tonight. Have a wonderful